Why you can't see? Oh, here I am. Hi. What's going on? It's Robert Phoenix, 916, just trying to get all the threads together for today's show. Man, we're going to travel today. We're going to go some places today. So you better buckle your seatbelt. We're going to try to connect dots and dots and dots and dots and dots. I've been tunneling. The last 24 hours, I've been tunneling. I've had the coal miners hat on. Right, I've had the big shovel. Been trying to put all these pieces together, and you're gonna want to hang out for the next at least 90 minutes as we cover a lot of ground, a lot of territory, to try to bring all these various threads into the present. And I got so much stuff to share with you today. It's gonna make your head spin. Okay. And by the way, this is why you support the show. You basically support me the show for me to not have a life. This is my life. Okay, I have dedicated my life to this, which is not a bad thing. It's not like I hate it or anything. Nobody's putting a gun to my head, say you spend as much time online as you can to put all this stuff together. I do it willingly with my own volition, right? But this is why I'm here. And if you want to support the show, there'll be a link in the text box at the end of the show. You'll be able to support it. In the meantime, hit that thumbs up and share. Share the channel, share the videos. It's amazing how much progress we're making, and I know that YouTube has been really putting the ceiling on my stats. I don't have anybody inside YouTube, but the amount of people that contact me versus the amount of people that actually show up as a data point on their metrics, I think it doesn't skew. It doesn't come together. It doesn't fit, right? So, but it's interesting. Now, I will say that a year ago, I was getting between 300 to 400 people on a live stream based on YouTube's stats. Now I'm getting about 800 to 900 on a live stream, maybe more, like the Sunday night show. And the total views on a video are getting up in the 1,000 view range, 1,200, 1,300. So it's quite encouraging, even from the artificially simulated data and metrics vis-a-vis YouTube. So we're making a dent, we're making progress one by one by one. The sleepers awaken. And we have to awaken. This is our time to do it. There is no other time. We will not be granted another opportunity like this moving forward. We're at the crossroads, or the V point, or the Y point in human history. In the realm of consciousness, we are here right now. This is ground zero. And this is where things get very intense, and you find out who you are. And why would you want to find out who you are? This is part of the journey on this planet, is to find out who you are. And we just hit an accelerant point. When I was a kid, I used to play with Hot Wheels. And one of the things that they have with Hot Wheels, Hot Wheels, I loved Hot Wheels. It was like one of my passions. I was totally into the Hot Wheel. And one of the things that they would have with Hot Wheels, they would have these turbochargers. And essentially, Mattel was really clever, and they found out a way to have your Hot Wheels basically be how do I say it, propelled on the track without a little engine in the car. So what they would have is they'd have these little plastic things that look like garages, and they had these spinning wheels on the inside that were insulated. They had sort of like sponge padding around each wheel, so that when your Hot Wheel would enter into that little garage place, it would hit these little spinning sort of turbos, right? Turbines, and then it'd shoot it out. And then your Hot Wheel would accelerate, and you'd go and have another, I don't know, maybe 10, 8 or 9 feet of track that your car could travel on. So we've approached that point. It's that Hot Wheel point where these things are spinning and we hit it, boom, and it kicks us out to the other side. Okay. Now, the other thing with the Hot Wheel is that in many cases, depending on the length of the track, the Hot Wheel would sort of lurch into that place. It would kind of lurch, and bang, it'd go out the other side. So we're kind of at that lurch point. Like we have some momentum, Just keep it going, and we're going to hit that. We're going to hit that launch point and shoot out on the other side. Okay, Coach K says I had one of those. Laugh out loud. It's true, right? You know what I'm talking about. By the way, Hot Wheels ruled over Johnny Lightning. And the only way you would know about that is if you're my age. Now, of course, I was indoctrinated into toy cars with Matchbox. Now, the attention to detail of Matchbox was incredible. It was incredible. And the cars, I remember my first Matchbox car was an MGT BT. I think it was an MGBTB, which is Morris Garages. And in that car, there was a guy, he had a little plastic guy in the driver's seat. Of course, he's on the right-hand side. And then you had actually a dog who was sticking his head out the window. And so that was the first Matchbox I got. And then, of course, it led me into I got one of the first Hot Wheels. I was really into that. And the Johnny Lightning had interesting designs, but man, they sucked on that track. They really sucked on any track, period, in the story. Hot Wheels ruled. I'm beginning to Chatlandia. Yeah. So, Sherry, I saw that advert. I could not access it. I sent you an email. For some reason, in this region, it doesn't allow me to view that video you sent me. If you could find another way for me to look at it, or if I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Hacking the system. I will throw on the VPN. And I think you're UK, Sherry. So I'll throw the VPN on from the UK and I'll watch that video. You see, there's more than one way to skin that cat. Okay, so let's do the invocation here. I'm going to say good morning to everybody. Michael W. Rocking the Virgo symbol. Right on, brother. Right on, Virgo, brother. All right, here we go. Dear blessed and holy Father, Mother God of the great central sun, which is the universal light, which is the light of Sananda, Yeshua, Emmanuel. We ask that the highest and best information comes through this channel at this point in time. Let the highest and best wisdom come through this channel at this point in time. And collectively, we ask that we be blessed in grace with the qualities of courage, compassion, empathy, flexibility, endurance, humor, intelligence, higher mind, the ability to discern, the ability to focus, and the ability to accept where we are now in the unfolding of events in this domain. We ask that any karmic residue be cleansed, purified, clarified, and removed from this stream and from everyone participating and viewing in it, so we may return to our lives sovereign, intact, whole, and free. So be it. Okay, let's get rocking. Let's see what we got here. We got Coach K. We got Michael. What's going on, Michael? Just saw that Virgo symbolism. Phoebe Kane in the house. There's my man Thor at the door. Steve. Morning, Steve. JM, Justice Moody, Laura D, Jennifer Fitzgerald. Hey, nice to see you, Jennifer. EC.2189. Kaku. What's happening? Judy. The lovely and talented Joan S. Shanna Miriam. Raven Rain. It's raining. Raven Rain. Raven, I hope you're doing okay up there in the Pacific Northwest, where it's complete and utter madness and insanity. It's Miranda Couch. Miranda, can we call you the couch tomato? Would that be okay? Oh, I bet you've heard that one too. Carrie Rose. Good morning, Carrie. Tamara Garth. Joe Dimitri. Hi, Joe. Natasha coming in. Natasha's probably closer to heaven than anybody on this chat. And she knows what I mean by that. Natasha lives in an elevated status every single day. I feel trolls lurking today. All right, man. You got to be on the case. Marie Gilson. Hi, Marie. Good to see you. Max Egan got deleted from YouTube. Oh, yep. It's the purge. It's a purgification. There's Sherry again, which I respond. Hi, Sherry. Go Speed. I was a big Speed Racer kid. I loved Speed Racer. Speed Racer. It was great. Fantastic. You know what always cracked me up about Speed Racer? Whenever they would get into like heavy stuff, they'd go, oh, they always had the same look on their face. Oh, of course. See, tea time with Tessia. Tessia, I'm getting back to people. So let me give you just sort of the status of my life and answering emails and setting readings up. Okay. So I've been working on stuff at about 5 different levels, 5 different fronts, right? So while I am doing these streams every day, I'm also gathering information and putting things together. I'm working with clients on a daily basis, 2 times, 3 times a day, depending on the schedule. I try to do 2 if I'm pressed, 3. And I'm in the process of finally finalizing the new website. Okay. So the new website, I'm planning to launch as soon as Mercury goes direct. The new website is coming, and it is cool, man. It is totally cool. And I want to give just a major shout out to Alicia, who has been working with me and been very patient with me and has done just a marvelous job. I couldn't have asked for a better person to step in and help me out with the website. And once the website is up and running, things are going to get very, very cool, very easy. We're going to have a new check-in process so that when you actually get a reading, you're going to have an opportunity to schedule yourself, and I will get the email. Okay. That's going to be incorporated, because one of the hardest things for me is the actual schedule process, because I don't have anybody doing it. So that means that I have to get online and go through the email and get your number and call you. And sometimes it will take 2 or 3 emails, 1 or 2 emails on my part, or 1 or 2 calls on my part. And, and I'm doing this with multiple people. So it takes a lot of time. And I'm just trying to streamline that process so that I don't miss anybody. Okay. It's really important. So just hang in there. I will get to you. I promise. Now that I'm getting a lot of this stuff out of the way, my mother's gone gone back home, and the stuff with the website. So we're going to get there. I promise you, anybody who has ordered a reading or ordered a report, I will get to you. You have my word. Okay. You have my word. And I continue to try to dig through and backhoe with the emails. But moving forward, once I get the new website up, the scheduling process will be like that. Okay. So there's going to be a few changes in terms of readings with the web. And so the website is going to be really cool. There's going to be a private section. Like you'll actually be able to participate in a private area of the website, and I'll have a private blog and all kinds of stuff. Okay. So there's going to be kind of a membership tier with that. So, I do a lot of stuff for free, and I don't have a problem with it, but I got to sustain the operation, and you'll get value out of it. I promise you. You'll get value. And once I get the website up and running, the webinars are going to kick in. We're going to start doing webinars. So this is a major step forward with everything. And I appreciate your patience. And again, just a big shout out to Alicia. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we're headed in a trajectory that's super, super positive. Okay. All right. So let's see. What do we have here? What do we got? Like, my brother ran one of those Hot Wheels over my head, and my hair wound up around the tires at the top. Oh man, poor Ani. That is rough. That is really rough. So I never, the only thing I did, I was not a cruel kid. I really was not a cruel kid. I loved animals, never hurt or harmed an animal. I never set anything on fire. I wasn't a bully. I didn't believe in bullying. It wasn't my thing. So I didn't have any, but I did do one thing one time, because I went through a phase where I was kind of a shit. Well, maybe more than one phase. But I was hanging out one time with my buddy, Dave, and I'm still in touch with Dave. Dave is the one guy that's still in my life, who I still have some level of communication with. And I met Dave when I was like 9 years old. He was my neighbor across the street. And I think Dave and I got into at least 2 fights growing up. He's a super nice guy, super, super nice guy. And his mom and my mom have kind of regained connection with each other and stayed in touch. So anyway, one time I thought it was going to be really fun and funny to stick a smoke bomb, under Dave's shorts, like his blue jean shorts. I don't even know how I managed to do this, but I managed to slip a smoke bomb, back behind his shorts. And I just thought that I would light it and it would start smoking, But unfortunately, before it smokes, it flames. So his back caught on fire, and I felt horrible. All right. Anyway, it was, and he had to put ice on it and stuff. It was not cool, not cool. And I felt terrible after that. I didn't realize that before there was smoke, there was fire. Remember? So, Dave, I apologized to you a long time ago, and there it is. I apologize again. All right, there it is. Anyway, it happened. I think that was the one thing, though. I think looking back, that might have been the one thing that might have been slightly cruel. Might have been slightly cruel. But that's about it. Other than that, I didn't have any interest in that shit. All right, let's get going. We got so much to cover today. Oh, man. All right. I'm going to try to connect some dots because everything is happening right now. It is fucking happening. Really, it is on like Donkey Kong. And I'm going to try to stay in the Ghislaine Maxwell lane. All right, because there's so much stuff going on here with Ghislaine Maxwell. All right, before I do that, I want to lay out what's happening with COVID-19 and what's going on with the masks and the testing. Let me get on my email here. Let me do this. I got so much shit today. All right. So I ran across some very, very interesting images. Oh, by the way, I had I had a little bit of a mask experiment. As soon as I figure out how to get this thing off my cell phone, I'll play for you guys tomorrow. So what I did, I was in Austin 2 days ago, and I decided to use one of those mesh masks, like the one that guy wore into Walmart. So I had the mesh mask experiment, and I decided to go into Costco with the mesh mask. And I did. And not a problem. Not a problem. I wore the mesh mask. I shopped in Costco. It was fine. It was fine. It was absolutely fine. And nobody hassled me. I got my stuff. Not a problem. So then I wound up going to Whole Foods. And that was an interesting experience. The Whole Foods thing was an interesting experience. I got into Whole Foods and I wore the mesh mask. Now, Whole Foods is a whole different level than Costco. And I bought something, not a problem. And as I walked out, I turned the camera onto the people who were at the gates, right? They were the gatekeepers. One was a security guard and one had the sanitization station. And I said, hey, here are the people that are keeping America safe. And I said, thank you very much for your efforts. That's all I did. That's all I said. And this shit isn't going. All right, I got to do something different here. Okay, it's just not responding. So, all right, I'm going to go back to my car and I'm going to drive off. This Karen comes out. I swear to God, she works at Whole Foods. She comes out and she videotapes my car. Videotapes my car. She's videotaping my car because she wants my license plate. And I didn't do anything. I did not do a damn thing. All I did was go in and shop and congratulate and appreciate the efforts of the Whole Foods team. That's it, right? That's it. That's all I did. So what did it get me? It got me the Karenization. The Karenization indoctrination. I had my first real big Karen moment. All right, so let me start off with this now because we're on the mask topic. And let's start at ground zero with the mask. So why are we wearing masks? Really? Is it to protect us from COVID-19? Is it social indoctrination, social engineering? Or is there even a deeper meaning to the mask experience, which connects us up to other emerging social issues. I would say it's all of the above, but I'm going to show you something that will kind of blow your mind and give you another look at the connection between what's happening with Black Lives Matter, the issue of slavery, and wearing the mask, because your masters are telling you essentially to wear the mask. Okay, just keep that in mind. So here we go. I'm gonna show you an image here. Startling, to say the least, on a number of levels. And if this doesn't get your attention, I don't know what will. Okay. So here we go. All right, hold on one sec here. Do this. Find this thing. One sec. Where is it? Just had it here. God, there's so much stuff going on. By the way, as I yeah, I'm just gonna do this on my desktop. That'll be easier. As I am broadcasting to you today, the possibility of fluoride being banned is very real, and I don't want to jinx it. But there's major stuff happening in the state of California, and the FDA has an almost defenseless position around the fluoride stuff. And I just don't want to jinx it. But I'm really looking forward to, fingers crossed, that day, which is not that far into the future. We're talking about August. If you haven't been following this suit against the FDA, you got to pay attention. And please, if there's justice in the universe, let this happen. Because when it does, I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. All right, here we go. Let me bring you the shocking image that I'm referring to. And I got a lot of shocking images today. You're going to see some shock value today, but in a good way. I'm not showing you anything that is not going to be in your best interest. Okay. Just hang in there. I'm not here to shock you into trauma. I'm here to nudge you into awakening. All right. So here we go. You should be seeing this on your screen, but you're not. There it is. Let's see what we got here. Can you guys see that? There it is. Well, look at this. Look at this. Look what we have found here. This is, I'll read you. This is the Esclave Marron of Rio de Janeiro. This is a fugitive runaway slave in Rio de Janeiro. And this is based on a drawing by somebody named Mr. Bellel. Interesting. The engraving illustrates a brief article on fugitive slaves in Brazil and is apparently derived from firsthand information. Captured fugitives, the article notes, are forced to do the hardest and roughest work. They're ordinarily placed in chains and are led in groups through the city's neighborhoods where they carry loads or sweep refuse in the street. This type of slave is so frightful that while they have lost all hope of fleeing again, they think of nothing but suicide. They poison themselves by drinking at one large swallow a large quantity of strong liquor, or choke or suffocate themselves by eating dirt, earth. In order to deprive them of this way of causing their own deaths, they put a tin mask on their faces. The mask has only a very narrow slit in front of the mouth and a few holes under the nose so they can breathe. This is called a slave mask. Okay? This is a slave mask. So, isn't this interesting? This is a very interesting depiction. And the depiction ties everything with what we're seeing, ties it all together. This picture ties it all together. It ties the mask, it ties slavery, it ties the forced bonds of indentured servitude, which, by the way, are not dependent upon race or color, although we often associate it with one race and one particular color. Slavery has been a human experience. And even today, we talk about child slavery. We talk about child trafficking. These young people are slaves. They are forced into service in performing heinous acts or having heinous acts being performed on them by other people. So if you think that slavery is not around anymore, it is clearly around and being practiced at some of the deepest and darkest levels of our society and our civilization. Okay. So this image is startling, but it is an image for our time. It brings it all together. You wonder why. You wonder why we're being asked to wear masks. Are we really being asked to wear masks because of the fact that they're going to somehow protect us? No. There's a multitude of reasons. There's the social engineering aspect. There's the isolation aspect. There's the divide and conquer aspect. There's a multitude of reasons why people are being asked to wear masks. And it's not good. None of them are good. But ultimately, there is, on an underlying level, the connotation of being a slave. You're a slave to the system if you theoretically wear a mask. I just showed you the image. Right? And you are worried about masks. I'm not worried about masks. I'm worried about what masks symbolize. Right? We got Julia Dove in the house. Okay, looks like we got a newbie. So Julia, hang out for a minute. You might learn a few things. Pay attention to people in the chat. Am I afraid of masks? You know what I'm afraid of? I'm afraid of the masks that people wear every day and they don't even know they're wearing a fucking mask, okay? I'm afraid of the masks of our politicians who pretend to put on a good mask, a mask that supposedly is a mask that protects us for our own better good, our own greater good. You know, those are the masks that I'm terrified of because they're false masks, right? They're completely false masks. I'm not afraid. I'm concerned about the masks that people wear and they don't even know they're wearing a fucking mask. That's what I'm concerned about, right? These masks, am I afraid of the mask? Well, first of all, the mask will make sure that you don't get as much oxygen, okay? I don't know about you, but I like oxygen. I'm kind of an oxygen guy. Somehow, over the 60 years of my life, I've gotten kind of addicted to this oxygen thing. It seems like it works. Okay. It seems like the oxygen experience works. I'm not really interested in having less oxygen, but if you want less oxygen, please. If you're more interested in CO2, which is ironic, right? That in a world where they want to actually reduce the carbon footprint, they're making you have the carbon footprint right in your face. Right. So you are now being even a slave to greenhouse gases. You're creating your own biodome of the greenhouse gas experience. Well, have fun with that. Okay. I like being able to breathe too. They're definitely a symbol. They're more than a symbol too. They're not good for your health. They're not. Any doctor, real doctor who understands the nature. We talked about this before. So Julie, you got to get you up to speed here. Oxygen is pneuma. Right? It is pneuma. It is spirit. And when you put a mask on, you're getting less pneuma. You are getting less spirit when you breathe in. This is the way it is. It's limiting your contact with the electrically charged potential for you to embrace and experience the Godhead flowing through your being. There you go. So you can go any which way you want with the mask thing. Any which way you want. I'm not into the mask. Bottom line, end of story. I'm just not. Not. And you can, if you want to wear a mask, go ahead. Great, fine. If you want to get a vaccine, go ahead. Great, fine. Do it. Don't force this stuff on us. Okay, so here's what I want to get into. And man, we're going to go down to Ghislaine Maxwell, shoot and everything. All right. I'm going to take a breath here. Get rid of guns. Stop being afraid of everybody. Stop. Can somebody deal with her? You're out. Just go. Okay. Don't inject yourselves with, you're out. Just get Steve, Ani, do the thing, get her out. Okay. See ya, Julia. You have no idea. You have no idea. You're just an NPC. You're just a little parrot NPC. Instead of Julia Dove, they should call you Julia Parrot. You're Julia Parrot because you're just parroting bullshit talking points that you have no idea really when you go into the fine detail of this experience reality. You can't handle it. So you're just here to come in and parrot. Can you please get rid of Julia Parrot? See ya. Bye. Emily Moore in the house. Is she naive? I don't know if she's naive or not, but she's certainly gullible, and she's under a spell. She's just under a spell. She came in here to try to educate us This is the wrong chat room to do that. The wrong chat room to do that. You know, she's going to go in and get behind enemy lines or whatever. You know, and I just spelled it out, right? I just spelled it out, or I disspelled it. And she couldn't even hear that. She couldn't even get to the point where oxygen contains pneuma. It contains prana. And the spiritual component there, are you willing to limit yourself? This is what happens when you wear the mask for too long, right? I am a person who has a certain amount of patience and holds a certain amount of space, but I'm not going to waste a lot of fucking time. This is the way it is. Thank you, Ani. Thank you, Steve. Julia, wish you well. All right. So what's going on now with the COVID thing? Why are the numbers increasing? Why are they ramping up? Well, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people are saying, here, let me see if I can find something just to give you an example of what I'm talking about. Okay. So I like to, I'm not sure if I'll be able to find this because Henry does a lot of his stuff on Twitter. If I do Twitter, I've been kind of banned from Twitter on one of my Twitter accounts. So I have to go to another Twitter potentiality here. Another Twitter window where I've kind of outsmarted Twitter a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to show this to you guys. So Henry Macau, I go to his site daily. He's got a really good Twitter feed. Really, really good Twitter feed. I'm going to show you two things here. Three things actually. So I'm going to take you into Henry's Twitter feed, and this is going to set up what I'm talking about. Okay, here we go. So let me share this piece with you here. We're going to share screen. I don't want to do this. Okay, so I got to do this because I'm navigating between browsers, and let me end this. And StreamYard does not allow me to navigate between browsers. It just has one browser. So let me just show this to you here with a quick. Well, I guess I could just go to Henry's website. So give me a second. You'll see this. We'll click into some of this other stuff while we're there too. Let me see what we got here. Okay. Which means that some of this Twitter feed stuff I'm not going to be able to show you because it's on another browser. Okay, hold on one sec. All right, so we're going to get into screen share, and I'm going to give you an insight into what's going on with some of these COVID cases because there's 3 of them all in a row, and this will give us. So here's Henry's website. I'm just going to focus on this side of the page. Okay, email this AM. It's sad how our world is ending. I've been following your work for almost 16 years. I am a nurse in Mississauga. That is in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. All the hospitals are empty. And this is the biggest scam, worse than 9/11. The thing is, Canadians are hardcore left-wingers. They want this. Here we go. Let's just cruise down here. An official admission from the state of Illinois that they are lying about COVID-19 deaths. Technically, even if you died from a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it is still listed as a COVID death. We can open that up and we can share that. I'll put some of these links in for you guys to see, and you can get a bird's eye view of really what's going on here. And I'm going to connect dots as to why this is happening. So here we go. COVID-19 is no more deadly than the ordinary flu. Now, there are some things with COVID-19 that make it a little more intense than the ordinary flu. And I've tried to get into this, and part of the thing, there is a thing here, and it has to do with the fungal factor, which is not talked about. Okay, it's the fungal factor that is the hidden pathogen inside of whatever this thing is. So we have Dr. Dan Erickson. This is the guy from Bakersfield, and Dr. Arten Masihi revealed the crucial facts. The death rate for COVID-19 is very low. It is the equivalent to the seasonal flu. It's true. The response, sheltering in place, social distancing, is counterproductive because it decreases the effectiveness of the immune system. This is true. Doctors being pressured to falsely subscribe COVID-19 as the cause of death to inflate COVID-19 death statistics. This is true. It's all true. Now, the information about Fauci being a fraud is coming out. It's oozing. It is oozing out of the pores of the alternative media and slowly oozing out of the pores of the mainstream media. But it's coming out. You got Birx. The stuff around Birx is coming out. Trump and the coronavirus task force in the White House. So what we're seeing here, Italian authorities have revealed that 99% of all coronavirus deaths are from people with pre-existing conditions. So the people that they are saying are dying from the coronavirus are the older, sick people. That is the group of people one would expect to die each day. So this is a really good page for stats if you want to send it to somebody. So this is where, now if I want to do this, let me go back, and I'm gonna play this. So I have to come back and actually enable the streaming for that, or the volume for that. So give me 1 second, and I'll do that, and we'll have a crack at what God, I don't know what to call Pritzker at this point. Okay, so let's get in here and let's look at what this person from the state of Illinois has to say about this. Hidden in plain sight, revealing the truth. It is exposed. Here we go.
Earlier this week, the state reported death of a teenager in Cook County. Are you familiar with this case? If so, is this the state's first teenage death? And can you tell us if the teenager in question had underlying conditions?
Look at that shit.
We're going to get a definition now of how you can determine whether or not someone died with COVID. Very simple.
I don't have that information at my disposal at this time. I know we have had people of all age groups die. I just want to be clear in terms of the definition of people die.
Okay, here comes the definition of death by COVID.
Of COVID. So the case definition is very simplistic. It means at the time of death, it was a COVID positive diagnosis.
That means no matter how you die, as long as you were positive for COVID when you died, you are a COVID death. Even if you got in a car wreck or you fell off a cliff, for whatever reason that you died, as long as you had COVID, it's counted as a COVID death. Listen.
So that means that if you were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death.
There it was. Okay. She's going to make it more simple for us.
Means that if technically, even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death.
So technically, even if you died of an alternate cause, if you had COVID when you died, it's called a COVID death. You wonder why the numbers are messed up.
Here you go. And Governor Pizza Face looking on. Did you see what he did? He's like, he's not going to answer that shit. He's not going to answer that. You go ahead. You got this nice little cushy government job. You get to take the heat for this one. And he just looks on. He just looks on. They don't even necessarily test that improbable. You can test. Here's what they do. You can test positive in one place and negative in another. There are people waiting in line. They filled out the paperwork to get tested. The line is too long and they leave. And guess what happens? They get a reply back that they've tested positive for COVID. This is true. I'm not telling you a lie. I wouldn't lie to you. I'm not lying to you, right? You don't see her anymore. Okay. Emily Reyes, Mr. Phoenix. I have a question. Go ahead, Emily. Let's see what you got. Go ahead. Emily, I'm here to answer your question if I can. You can call me Robert. You don't have to call me Mr. Phoenix. That's too formal. Okay. The gun is pointing to one's temperature. Take the fort. By the way, that is a medical procedure. Getting your temperature taken is a medical procedure. You do not have to consent to that. You do not have to consent to that. Okay. You don't. When somebody sticks a Star Trek device to your head, you don't have to consent to it. You don't. It's a medical procedure. Taking your temperature is a medical procedure. So I don't consent. And they're going to be like, well, you won't be able to go in, blah, 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 blah. I said, you're performing a medical procedure. Do you have a license for that? Can I see your license? Can I see the license for your medical procedure? If I get COVID, how long do I have to self-quarantine? If you get COVID, how long do you self-quarantine? I don't know. I don't know. What is COVID? Define COVID. Define what COVID is. Define what is it? If you get COVID, how long do you self-quarantine? I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor. I can't give you advice on that level. You know, I'm here to help you understand and illustrate why what we're going through isn't just a coronavirus or COVID / epidemic, right? Can't. So if you are somebody who is autonomous and you are an individual, maybe you should figure out how long you have to self-quarantine for. Maybe you should go to the CDC website if you get it. Or maybe based on your research, that you could, I know it's 14 days, but I'm not, or maybe based on your research, you could say, geez, they say 14, based on what I'm reading, maybe it should be 21, or maybe it should be 7, right? Like, look, what I try to do here is have people understand your authority, your personal authority. If they take away the so-called police to defend us, then you got to be your own authority. And what happens when doctors are moved online and Silicon Valley is practicing telemedicine? Right? Then you're gonna have to take care of yourself. And ultimately, that's what we're here to do. So take care of ourselves. Think for yourself. Just think for yourself. We do have some interesting people. You want to stick around? Who is that? Let's see. If you want to stick around, Emily, stick around. You want to hang out and learn something? Hang out and learn something. But don't try to trick us or distract us into kind of answering these pedestrian and mundane questions. Because when you ask them, what you're doing is you're basically admitting to your own ignorance. You're admitting to the fact that you can't think for yourself, that you're looking to an authority. And this is what the left does all the time. You ask them, and I said to people, like, it smells like entrapment. Of course it smells like entrapment. I'm not going to fall for the bait. I'm not going to fall. Look, I'm not saying I'm invulnerable. We're all human, right? But this is not my first rodeo. And I've been doing this for 10 years. And I've had an opportunity to sharpen my axe a little bit. And every now and then, I'll miss a step or somebody will throw me a curve and I'll miss a curve. But you better be damn good at throwing me curves. Okay. I'm not throwing down the gauntlet. I'm just telling you, I'm here to defend my intellectual and spiritual sovereignty, just like everybody else in that chat room is. Okay. And we're not out to get you. We're not coming to your house. We're not coming to your streams. We're not coming to your Facebook pages to attack you. Isn't that interesting? Right? Isn't that interesting? Like, I don't go over to anybody else's shit to attack them. I don't go into their, and look, if I wanted to, I could go into any Facebook page, or if I wanted to create a burner Twitter account, I could go sword to sword with these people and attack them on their own territory and their own turf and play their game. I have no interest in it. Because that's not how we operate. That is not how we operate. That's not what we're about. We're not into attacking. We're not into infiltrating and doing all this shit. That's not what it's about. Live and let live. and understand how that principle works. Most people cannot wrap their heads around freedom. They can't. They can't wrap their heads around freedom. Freedom is responsibility. Freedom is responsibility. If you go to Henry Mackow's site, you'll see that this guy, Aloysius Fosdike, who belongs to the Alpha Lodge, who's a Satanist, he says, we're behind all this shit. And you people are sheeple. And you're doing everything that we want you to do because you don't want to be free. And when you don't want to be free, guess what? We'll make sure that we take care of the reality that you are consenting to. I'm 12 and I don't want to get COVID. Okay. Well, first of all, if you're 12 years old, you should be like, if you're 12 years old, I'm going to have to ban you from the chat. Okay. I have to, because I have to make a declaration in this YouTube video that this material is not appropriate for anybody under 18 and you're 12 years old. And I'm sorry. And you may have a good heart and good intention, but again, from the YouTube perspective, you can't be here. And I'm sorry to do that, but you've got to go. And, go online, do some research. Okay. Just go online and do some research. So can we please remove our person here? If you can't remove her, I certainly will. Okay. She can't be here. She's underage. Once she admitted she's 12 years old, she can't be here. Yep. I moved on. She gone? She's not gone. I'll take care of it. Yep. So from now on, right? Now on, I'll put that in as the disclaimer. I'm just going to make sure she's not around because she's not supposed to be here. End of story. Okay. And I wish you all the best. Let me just check chat. Looks like she's gone. Thank you. Oh, she's not there. Let's see. What do we got? Okay. So I just blocked her. She's gone. Okay. Yeah, I'm popular today, huh? Deodorant and masks. That's a new one. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, I can't, listen, this could be a good place for her if she's really 12 and she really opens her mind, but she can't be in the chat room and she can't watch the video. She can't. So she's told me that she's under 18 and she got to go. Sorry. Got to go. It's the way it is. Or else this video will not be allowed to be streamed. Okay. Emily was not a 12-year-old at all. It was a troll. I don't care if she was not 12 or 12. She's saying she was 12. She's self-identifying as a 12-year-old. And based on what YouTube does, right? YouTube says this is either a content meant for a minor or content not meant for a minor. So based on what she's telling me, I have to assume she's a minor and she can't be here. I can't be here. Yeah. I don't know if it's 13 or not. I just know as a creator that I have to hit a box and say this is, and I do it every time. It helps me keep my my views up. Helps me keep my channel on. So we took care of that. So YouTube, if you're watching this, you probably will, just note that I didn't condone a theoretical 12-year-old being in my chat. Okay. All right. And if they don't announce that they're a 12-year-old in my chat, I have no idea if they're 12 or not. So that's not being, it's not allowing me to consent or not consent. Okay. Let's stay with the mask thing for a bit. I'm going to get into Maxwell. So hang on. It's all going to tie together. Okay. It's all going to tie together. So let's go back to Henry's site. I'm going to show you some more stuff. Here we go. Let me go back to his site and we're going to get into that sidebar. Okay, here you go. Here's your Aloysius P. Fosdike. He's been contributing to Henry for a long time. He's a Satanist, belongs to the Alpha Lodge. He's basically saying, look, we're doing exactly what we want to do. People are consenting. Okay, so we went to this. Let's go to the truthseeker.co.uk right there. You should be able to see this theoretically. If not, you let me know because it's still on that page. Can you guys see that? I guess I could look at my own website, my own stream. Let's see what we got here. It should click in. If it doesn't click in, then I'll reset it. And looks like I need to do the reset. Okay, let me do that. Let me do the reset. So I'm going to reset this. Away we go. Chrome tab it. Where are we? Oh, by the way, Mary Kay Letourneau died. She was the one that was connected to. She was one of the first people that got busted for having consensual. Well, it wasn't consensual. She basically had sex with her student, Washington State, and she eventually got married to the kid that she had sex with, and she had kids with. She died. Well, I got to find this thing. Give me one sec. All right, where is it? We got that down. Got that down. What's this? Homeschooling is going to be on the rise. We could cover that. That's coming. Let's see. Here it goes. All right, we should be able to get this now. This is important. Muy importante. It is not showing up on my. I don't know why this is happening. This is I'm not happy about this. It's just not. I don't know why it's not showing up. Let me. I'm gonna have to do something because I really want to show this to you guys, but it is not showing up on the tabs. Let me go application window. What do we have there? No, it's not there. Okay. So let me cancel this. Just again, I apologize, but I'm going to. I got to re-rack this thing because I do want to show it to you. It's very, very important, but it's just not showing up on the. All right, I'm gonna just do a screen grab right here. Okay, let's do this, and we're moving into sort of the heart of all this. Okay, just hang in there, take time. It all eventually moves into Maxwell territory. Okay, so I did the screen grab, and we're going to go into applications, and I have to pull this thing up so you can see it. It won't take that long. And I apologize. I got a lot of stuff here. Shit. I got a ton of stuff. This could be a 2.5 hour show today. All right, there it is, buried over here. Persistence. Persistence carries the day, as it always does. But like Kenny Rogers says, you got to know when to fold them sometimes. All right, there we go. Hallelujah. That's what I'm wanting to show you. All right, there it is. This is from theseeker.co.uk. This letter from a doctor in Florida to the Orlando Medical News is extracted from a much more extensive article posted at offguardian.com. However, the letter stands on its own, and it raises many questions about the COVID-19 pandemic. For example, John Thomas Littell, MD, asked, why is news media reporting an ever-increasing number of COVID-19 cases when he has seen the number of afflicted dwindle to almost zero in his community? Why the discrepancy? John Thomas Littell, a family physician in Florida, writes to the editor of the Orlando Medical News several times a day on every possible news outlet. We are bombarded with updates as to the new number of cases of COVID-19 in the US and elsewhere. News and the analysts then use these numbers to justify criticisms of those who dare to reject the CDC's recommendation with regards to mask wearing and social distancing. It is imperative that all Americans, especially those in the medical profession, understand the actual definition of a case of COVID-19 so as to make informed decisions on how to live our lives. All right, so I'm going to put a link to this because this is just a screen grab. For whatever reason, it was not allowing me to link in. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy. It just wasn't being picked up vis-a-vis the StreamYard application. Okay. I'll leave a link here. So what we're getting now is we're getting data. We're being inundated with data that says this thing is just out of control and it's on the rise. And look, I'll even say that probably we all have a form of COVID-19 inside of us. Whether it's live or it's dormant, it's probably in all of us. I was super sick in November. I wouldn't be surprised if that was COVID-19 and, did it go away? I mean, is it still hanging out? I mean, I don't know. I don't, and if anybody thinks that they know, then please really know that have them send me an email because I really, on that level, I really want to know. So if we all potentially have it or we've all, it's all kind of gone underground, like a herpes reaction does, or, we've created antigens with the whole thing. I mean, look, that is not really the case. And that's not the point I'm here to explain or debate. What I'm here to do is to show you where all this is going. And I'm going to do it right now. This is from the Washington Standard. It's a website. Meet the Israeli intelligence linked firm using AI to profile Americans and guide U.S. lockdown policy. You see that? You see that? Let's get into this a little bit more. A company tied to Israel's military intelligence unit, 8200, has recently partnered with the state of Rhode Island to use an artificial intelligence-based system developed in tandem with the Israel Defense Forces, the IDF, to profile Americans potentially infected and or at risk of being infected with coronavirus. So they're using data gathering, artificial intelligence models to pinpoint and target specific individuals. Then the informing government authorities of their risk profile. You see that? Their risk profile. So this is a medical version of pre-crime. Once flagged, state health officials can target these individuals as well as their communities for mandatory testing, treatment, and or more restrictive lockdown measures. The firm, Israel-based Diagnostic Robotics, is poised to announce a series of new such partnerships with several of the U.S. states as well as major hospitals and healthcare providers in the coming weeks, according to a spokesperson. The first of these announcements came on June 30th regarding the firm's new partnership with the Mayo Clinic, which will soon implement diagnostic robotics artificial intelligence platform that predicts patients' hospitalization risk. So this is medical pre-crime. They've also been in discussions. Now, this is important with Vice President Mike Pence about the platform's implementation nationwide since April. Mike Pence is he's a snake in the fucking grass is what he is. Mike Pence came to Texas 3 weeks ago and met with Greg Abbott. And right after he met, Abbott rolled all this stuff out and he did a $260 million deal to bring contact tracers into the state of Texas. Greg Abbott has always had fairly visible and transparent ties to the nation state of Israel, going back to Harvey, when people who wanted to get some form of state assistance that was due to them based on the disaster relief emergency fund that came through the United States and into the state of Texas vis-a-vis Abbott. Abbott was making these people sign off on an agreement. Now, I think it had to do with that county, specific county. I don't think it was statewide, but it was probably something that they were floating, that they would not do anything untowards the nation state of Israel, meaning they couldn't protest, they couldn't strike, they couldn't do anything, that they had to sign a waiver and wire that anything, that their money was dependent upon them acting nice and cordial and accepting of whatever Israel does. All right, this is true. So Abbott's got a history. He's got a history of connecting in with that place. And he's doing it again. And he's not the only one. You see, because when we get into Israel, right, what does Israel represent? They represent the right side of the pincer effect, because the Likud government has been in power for a very long time. The Likuds are the Zionist faction of the nation state of Israel. Bibi Netanyahu, who's hung out at Jared Kushner's house. He slept in Jared Kushner's bed. He kicked Jared Kushner to the couch. Bibi Netanyahu is still in power, which blows my mind. You don't hear about him much, but he's the guy that runs the Likud party. They are the right side of the pincer effect. The left side of the pincer effect are the neoliberals, the social Marxists, who really want Israel to lay off of Palestine. I actually agree with them on that. I don't agree with them on just about anything else, but I certainly agree with them on that. So we have the neoliberal, sort of the Bolshevik side, right? We have the Bolshevik side, and then we have the Trotskyites. This is what it's about. We got the Trotskyites on one side, the Bolshevik side on the other. The Leninists and the Trotskyites right there. So it's the pincer effect. And this is the right side of the pincer effect. So you have these, fake ass Christians. What is Mike Pence is what? Some kind of like end times Catholic. He's like a Catholic that believes in Pentecostal revelation. I mean, Mike Pence is a mess. He's just a mess. So he's guy so Fauci, Birx, and Allen, the guy who's the Surgeon General, they all come through the Pence. They come through the Pence portal. Okay. So let's read this here. Their creeping expansion into the U.S. coronavirus response and that of other countries has been directly facilitated by the organization Startup Nation Central, funded by controversial hedge fund manager Paul Singer. We've gotten into Paul Singer before, and directly partnered with an Israeli government-backed intelligence initiative aimed at making the United States dependent on technology developed by the Israeli military and or intelligence community as a means of preventing the adoption of policies that support the nonviolent boycott, divest, and sanctions, BDS, movement at state and local levels. This initiative also serves the dual purpose of ensuring Israel's political influence and positioning as the global cyber power and off-repeated global policy of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Since March, Diagnostic Robotics, wonderful name, isn't it? AI-based risk profiling software for coronavirus utilized by the Israeli state in the form of the National Israeli COVID-19 monitoring systems, a key component of its increasingly Orwellian national health system. That system, which also initially partnered with Clalit, Israel's largest health services provider, involves the daily nationwide monitoring of coronavirus symptoms of the population. Of course, these coronavirus-related symptoms include common symptoms such as headaches, coughing, abdominal pain, and confusion, which can indicate any number of minor illnesses, allergic reactions, and other conditions entirely unrelated. Okay, so, all right, this is what happens. This is how it happens. All the data is pulled together, and the AI, which has gone through intense machine learning, begins to make begins to make associations. It begins to make associations, not just based on, I'm going to get out of this window, not just based on sort of the medical information, tracking whereabouts. It makes psychological profile decisions, right? It is an intelligence software that not only is invested in tracking and making maps of relations, it is also psychologically profiling each and every individual so that they have a psychological profile on where you go, how you respond, what you do, whole 9 yards. This is mind crime that's being injected into the data gathering process to control the information and the whereabouts of people in this country in war. And this is a company that is supported by Mike Pence, right? They've already rolled this out in Rhode Island and it's coming to more states. It'll come to your state. And I know based on what Abbott's done in the past that these are his buddies. These are his pals. So this is where, you want to know why we're going through this. You want to know why we're going through this, theoretical upsurge and all this stuff, because it helps them sell the technology. It helps them sell the technology. Yeah. And if you're a governor of a state, you're up for re-election, you could use that as like a platform, right? Oh, look at me. Look at what we did. We employed the most advanced technology to target individuals who may be at risk for COVID-19. We were one of the first states that got on board with this. We've embraced technology in order to help us tackle a very complex and fast moving situation. Oh, pin a little fucking star in you. Okay. Well, isn't that just great? You didn't have to do a damn thing. All you do is make a phone call and turn it over to these guys. But you're gonna, that's a virtue signal of the worst order. The worst order. There are virtue signals that are weak. That's a virtue signal that's damaging. Very damaging. All right. I told you I was telling you where it's going. That's where it's going. It's the employment and deployment of these very sophisticated technologies that are engaged in tracking and intelligence. Okay, I can't get to the comments. I have to step into the void. So give me 2 minutes, maybe not even that, 30 seconds. It's your 30 seconds of darkness. Here we go. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I have to renew the screen, refresh the screen, because I can't. At some point, the comments stop flowing, and I need to stay up on it. You stay up what's going on in chat. Let's see what we have here. It says, let's see, hit the like button. Yeah, hit that like button. Investors are throwing big dollars to young college master IT grads. So Paul Singer is what they call a vulture capitalist. And Paul Singer, Bernie Marcus, Sheldon Adelson, these are the three major money guys around the Trump campaign. Paul Singer now owns almost a controlling share of Twitter. Not quite, but very, very close. Paul Singer bought Cabela's and ruined Cabela's. He's like Mitt Romney on meth and steroids. Okay, that's Paul Singer. And what he's done is he set up an incubator in Israel to take these people that come out of Project 8200, who are the best and brightest minds of the IDF. It's kind of like their version of the men who stare at goats, but it's all cyber related. It's all about computer, cyber. So what they do, or what he's done, is he's taken. So if those guys are the best of the IDF. Then he takes the best of 8200, and then he has deployed them into companies in America, companies like AT&T, companies like Google. Google has a headquarters. Google has a major office in Israel, by the way. So there's training and deployment at a high level. Now, Paul Singer has he's getting money from this government in order to start up, not only start up, but continue to use that money for this incubator. So we're paying him for that. He's getting our tax dollars. This guy's a multi-fucking billionaire, and we're helping him out. Okay, sorry, I'm not down with that. Just not down with it. So this is what he's doing now. They're spinning companies off of 8200, like Robotic Dynamics, and this has been going on for a long time. Like if you go back to post 9/11, the NSA contracted out to an Israeli company called Verint, and there's another one besides Verint. I always forget the name of that one, but there were two main Israeli companies. So the NSA had contracted out to these two Israeli companies, and they were running basically the intel systems, right? The data gathering systems that the NSA was using for their fusion centers and collecting data on Americans. They had outsourced that to Israel and to these groups. I'm just telling you, and I'm not saying that I'm anti-Israel. Okay. There are people in Israel who I know for a fact that are not down with the program. There are people in Israel who can look across that wall and say what these people are going through over here is immoral, unjust, and not right. You know, you'll find people in Israel that would be very sympathetic to some of the stuff that I'm talking about today. So I'm not making a blanket condemnation of the Israeli people. Please understand that. Okay? I'm looking at the apparatus, just like the United States. The United States government does heinous shit and has been doing heinous shit for a long time. And if I was somebody outside of the United States and I looked at what this country has done, I would say, man, this motherfucking country is bad fucking news. Guess what? In many instances abroad, it would be right on the money. But it's not a condemnation of Americans, because a lot of Americans are not down with the program. They're not down with the program. We could extend this out as far as we want. We could see Black Lives Matter and all these kind of radical movements. Does that indict every single so-called black male or woman? No, it doesn't. And we know that. And we've seen it. I've shown you many examples about how these people do not consent to these top-down sort of bodies that are making decisions for their culture and for their quote-unquote people. So let's be clear about that. We could go fractal on this, right? We could go as fractal as we want. You know, we've got people from, the Nation of Aslan or whatever, right? Which is a kind of a radical, Mexican, Reconquista group. Does that mean that also called Mexicans or Latinos or Hispanic should be lumped into that? The answer is unequivocally no. We have extremist groups that come through the Muslim chute. Does that mean that all people that practice Islam are bad people? No. So when I talk about these things, I'm talking about either certain factions or certain groups or certain subgroups inside of a country or a state or an ideology. It is not a blanket condemnation of everybody. Let's be clear on that. Please, let's be clear on that. Because I have seen many times that people who come from places or backgrounds that relate to some of these institutions or models or state agencies that are very different than the umbrella groups. They are very different. Just a quick story, and we're gonna get into the Maxwell stuff. Where do I go with this? Okay.
Power on.
All right. So I had to take a little time out from Regina's site, from Regina's work. And I hope she has me back on. I had to take a little time out there because I kind of got in trouble in Regina world, because Regina and I had that really intense and heated discussion. If you want to tell Regina about this, I don't care. And basically, there were viewers who were part of her channel who went to my channel, and I think I was making fun of Mayor Pete. I was making fun of Mayor Pete. And the people who took exception to that happened to be, gay, right? They happened to be gay. And they went back to Regina and they said, oh my God, he's awful. And Regina went back and she watched the stuff. And look, Regina's trying to find the middle ground. Okay. And I'm being really, really fair with Regina. I love Regina. I've had a lot of clients and people come through Regina's world. And I think Regina's got a really good heart. And I have respect for Regina. I just want to be really on the record with that. Okay. Regina and I do not see eye to eye ideologically on some issues. And that's okay. You saw what happened when two individuals disagree about the worldview. And we didn't curse. We didn't yell. We had a very heated discussion. We put it back in the box and we went our separate ways. And I thought everything was cool, right? And was and still is between us. But because Regina has a bit of a different audience, part of her audience went in and saw some of my off-color stuff and went back to Regina and said, look, this is terrible. And she said to me, what's this all about? How can you defend this? I said, well, look, you have a group of people that follow your material and they found what I did offensive, according to them. And I have a group of people that are probably in the same demographic as your group, maybe not the same numbers. And I've had contact with these people, right? And I'll be specific, so-called gay male demographic. And I've had contact with them. They've been my clients and they've said, well, I don't always agree with you, but I'd like to watch you. Boom, end of story. Right. I don't think everybody that watches my program is straight either on the male or the female side. That would just be ridiculous. Right. So I told Regina, I said, I don't get any noise from, that so-called demographic in my group. I don't get any hate letters. The comments aren't bad. I don't get any of that, but I got them from your group. And what this really, showed me or illustrated to me is that even with a sub community like that, you have differing points of view. There will be people that will find my work, maybe, not always to their liking or their taste, but perhaps not inoffensive. And, if I offended anybody, look, it was only in the point of trying to illustrate something through humor. That's all. Another group would find what I do offensive. And that's the same group. But I'm not going to sit here and summarily just, castigate that group because I've seen it. Okay. So I just wanted to make a point. I wanted to make a point that when I talk about these things, this is not a blanket condemnation. I'm trying to be very specific. Okay. I am gay. That does just fine here. There you go. Thanks, Val. See, I just, I try to be as fair as I can. If you have a choice, or if you want to have a lifestyle that supports however you do the math on your lifestyle, that's fine. You do it. Right. But I'm not going to sit here and say, I want them to teach the truth of 9/11 in the public schools. Oh, I'd like to. I'm not going to sit here and demand that. Right. I'm not going to sit here and demand that my ideologies or the things that I believe in be taught in public schools. That should be a no-fly zone. The kids should learn about how to do things, right? They should learn knowledge, right? Lifestyle choices and values, they need to find that out for themselves. Okay. Find out for themselves. So if you want to have a particular lifestyle or you want to have a particular, expression of your being, I don't care. Don't bring it into the schools. Just don't bring it into the schools. When you go ideological into the schools, then I got an issue with it. We should be looking at the Travidium and just teaching kids how to think and all that stuff. They'll find out stuff on their own. Okay. That's where I draw the line. Just keep it out of the freaking schools, or better yet, keep your kids out of the schools. Teach them yourself. All right, let's move on. Let's go Maxwell. Oh boy. Let's go Maxwell. This is an important moment in time. A very important moment in time. We are looking at the nexus. We are looking at the nexus point of either freedom or tyranny. And it all revolves around Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay? It all revolves around her. And I'll tell you why. I believe, short of a major natural catastrophe, right? Major natural catastrophe, that the only thing that is going to pump the brakes on this shit that we're talking about right now, you know, the robotic dynamics, the AI, the Operation Mind Crime, pre-crime based on health, all this stuff. The only way that that stuff goes off the rails is if Ghislaine Maxwell and everybody connected to her is exposed. Now, the other day, I said that my idea was to basically exonerate on a criminal level everybody that had been involved in Epstein and Maxwell, and you'll see that it's more than just Epstein and Maxwell. That was my point. I did not say that I condoned any of it. I also would leave the civil suits wide open so that people, if they wanted to, could hammer these people financially and ruin them. Okay. But criminally, that they would be exonerated, and that the court of public opinion would deal with them. And some people said, well, how would you feel if you had somebody who went through this and, you know, you'd want justice? Well, first of all, no justice and nothing that you could do to these people theoretically would ever sort of put the genie back in the bottle with that event, whatever that event was. Okay. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So you have to move on from that event, unfortunately. But what it would do is that everybody connected to that person and their children and their children's children would be affected by the event. So essentially what you'd be doing is you'd be wiping out an entire line, right? You'd be wiping out an entire line of people that cross the line. And that has generational impacting effects. So think about if the Clintons were exposed, it would be Chelsea, be Chelsea's kid, and everything connected to that. They'd have to either go into hiding, change their name. And remember, the civil stuff would be up for grabs. So that was really my strategy around all of this. But it's probably not going to happen. Probably is, yeah. Anyway, but we are at a point where this is it. This is the pressure point. This is the nexus point. Because if you untangle Ghislaine Maxwell, everything just becomes exposed. And that includes intelligence agencies, the groups that the intelligence agencies support, the technology that the intelligence agencies support. And when I say intelligence agencies, I'm talking a number of intelligence agencies, whether it's MI6 or Mossad or CIA or NSA. I mean, we're talking intelligence agencies. They all get exposed. They all get unmasked, as well as the politicians. Right? And we're going left, we're going right, we're going center. They're all in the mix. Okay, they're all in the mix. And what I'm going to say is, and again, you may not agree with it, but you may want to think about it. Okay, if indeed Donald Trump is connected to the Maxwell stuff in a way that, say, Prince Andrew is, or in a way that, say, the Clintons are, right? If indeed he is connected to it, and I'm not saying he is, but if he is, then he has to go. He has to go, right? It has to be a carpet bomb effect. Okay, and some people will say, well, you're not supporting Trump, or look, I support people. I support the truth as best as I can. Okay, I'm not here to support a personality. I'm just not. And if it was an equal effect and he was involved and all these other people were involved and he's got to go and everything has to go, it's our only chance to have our version of the reset. Okay, this is our version of the reset. And Ghislaine Maxwell is the skeleton key to it all. The skeleton key to it all. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you a couple of. Ghislaine Maxwell apparently had a Reddit account with a lot of subscribers. Some of you may have seen this. I'm going to show you some of the material on her Reddit account. It's going to blow your mind. So this is her Reddit account from 3 years ago. It's pretty clear that this is her account. So her Reddit account was specifically an account that was based on the influence of dropping the legal age for sex and using a lot of very rational and legal ideas or arguments in order to do that. She had a lot of followers, I think 14 million or something like that. So here we go. This is one of Ghislaine Maxwell's posts. Child refugee sexually abused by Italian men after being picked up while sleeping homeless in parks. Charities warn that countless child asylum seekers are being used and exploited. Now, watch what she does here. Ermias Haley, a 16-year-old from Eritrea, has been sleeping on a building site with his friends, since they arrived on the island after making a treacherous voyage from Libya. Ermias and friends told Sky News an Italian man had sexually abused them after buying them drinks and offering them shelter. He found us in a place like this. He invited us to a bar and he let us drink beer. Then he take us to his home and there he gave us a beer. He said, we started drinking and then he started touching us on our body. After we leave the house, he calls us and gives us money. Smack of pedophilia. Look at how she crossed that out. Look at what she crossed out. And then she says, what are the Italian authorities doing about this? I stand corrected, wrong term, and the age of consent is 14. She's not saying, what are the Italian authorities doing about this? She's referring to the age of consent. You see how that got edited out and then recontextualized. So there are a number of these posts on Imgur, on Reddit, where she is seriously advocating to drop the age of consent. This is the legal. This was like her lobbying effort. Let me show you another example here. I'll show you another example. Again, this is coming from the Imgur account. It's all out there, right? Let me see if this is the right one. It should be. Let's see what we got here. This is the same one. My apologies. Okay. Oh, man. I got to find these Imgur images again. Shit. Let me see what happens. I go to the next post. No, that's not it. All right, let me get out of here. Let me. But there's so she has been on Imgur, and it's. I'm going to find you a few more of these. Give me 1 second. Here we go. I'll show you a few more images. So /U/Maxwell Hill had the 8th most linked karma of all time. Power mod of front page subs like r/world news and r/technology first account to reach 1 million karma was operated by Ghislaine Maxwell. All right, so I'm going to throw up another one of these Imgur images so you could see this. Out of curiosity, do you or anyone know, this is what she's posting, which other American states apart from New Hampshire, as stated by the author, still entertain these laws that allow a 13-year-old to marry? And so you have all these people going in and talking about sort of the fine points, the legal fine points of what you can do in certain states. So this guy comes in and brings a breakdown in, and she says, great, thanks, Unit Mike. A quick browse for the U.S. shows that for Ohio, New Hampshire, isn't that interesting that this is where Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested, was in New Hampshire. The age of consent is 13 years, whereas for Iowa and West Virginia, it may be as low as 12 years. I may be wrong in my interpretation of the different conditions. This is what Ghislaine Maxwell was doing on Imgur. This is what she was up to. She was grooming. She was using her Imgur account to groom people. Let me show you another one. I'll show you another one. Oh, you saw that one. There are a few more examples here. All right, this is how deep and depraved this shit is. It is so deep and depraved. Still, this is posted by u/Maxwell Hill. Remember, this is the eighth highest ranked subreddit forum. Somebody named Goatstein. Gee, I wonder who Goatstein is. Listen to how these people rationalize this. For those of you who don't feel like clicking on some asshole's blog post advocating the legalization of child pornography, let me break down the 3 points. Banning child pornography stops the prosecution of child rape. Hang on here, because this is a good one. You're sitting in a park recording something. You happen across a child being raped, because you know how often that happens. You are now a criminal. Okay, obviously this has never been the case. There's quite a bit of video context here showing that you never intended to film or disseminate child pornography. If you immediately call the police about this child rape, then provide them video evidence of a crime, you will be an enormous help. What if all of that was not true? Scary stuff. Banning child pornography is a way for snooty fundamentalist Christians to make teenagers ashamed of their own bodies. Wrap your head around that logic, because we all know child pornography's main market is teenagers. And this point is exceedingly relevant when it comes to 35-plus-year-old sweaty pig golems, who are the ones usually found in possession of child pornography. So the logic here is mind-blowing, right? So the logic is, okay, well, we should allow child pornography to exist because just in case you somehow manage to witness somebody raping a child and you get it on video, that'll be used against you because for all intents and purposes, you're trafficking in child pornography. What the fuck kind of logic is that? Now we've got some other logic that basically says that by banning child pornography, you're denying young people the experience, the natural experience of their body. Oh, it's the fault of Christians and sweaty Christians who are the ones actually using the child pornography to satisfy their libidinous hidden desires and urges. Slippery slope. If you ban images of the rape of children, free speech is doomed. Do you see that? Do you see how these people will take these concepts and twist them? This is, and I'm not sitting here being a fundamentalist, but man, this is the devil's language. This is the devil's rationalization in mind at work. It's like that old adage. First, they came for the child pornography holders, and I did not speak up because I was a child pornography holder. Then I got ice cream. What the fuck? Right? And this is what she's posting. 114 comments. All right. Do you see that? Do you see what's going on here? It is significant. She had a freaking Reddit forum. Reddit knew about this. Reddit knew all about this. And now you wonder why the CEO of Reddit stepped down. The CEO of Reddit stepped down not because he was married to Serena Williams. He stepped down so that some, black female could take over his position. Nah, he stepped down because there is clear evidence that Reddit knew what was going on. And Reddit was sponsoring and enabling conversations that are despicable. Despicable. All right, I got to go to black again. Hold on. Here, let me do a few more things because I'm going to have to keep going to black again. All right, you get the last one now. Okay, here we go. More rationalization around why they need to leave the kids alone. Here it is. Girlfriend steps in front of a man's car. He grabs her arm and lectures her about traffic safety. Result, he is now convicted sex offender. I mean, WTF. The message, this is from WorldNet Daily, which is a website I steer clear of. The message is clear here. Leave those kids alone lest you feel the wrath of the law. I feel we are taking one step forward and two steps back. On the one hand, we wish to protect the children from the grimy hands of pedophiles and ephobophiles. And on the other hand, the law, as interpreted by the lowly magistrate judge, informed those with good intent to stay clear of the same children we wish to nurture into good as citizens. Do we really want to head down this path? So this Maxwell was quite busy when she wasn't out grooming girls. Okay. She was quite busy. She was essentially lobbying and grooming and socially engineering people with arguments for pedophilia, that they're connected to our rights, our freedom of speech, our freedom of expression, and the fact that if you don't allow for this wide variance, then ultimately these laws would be used against you and you would wind up being a prisoner of the state vis-a-vis some form of mind control. So what she's saying and advocating is rip it all off so you won't be a prisoner of anything. Everything is permitted, right? Where we hear that, that's a Crowley-esque sentiment. So there we go. I'm showing you the Maxwell stuff around this subreddit forum. It's there. It's available. Everybody can access it. I'll leave some links in the show page if you want to share it with people. It's pretty significant stuff. Okay. Now, how far back and how deep does this thing go? Pretty far. Let me show you a very interesting picture. Very interesting picture. Let's see if I have it here. Where is this thing? No, that's not it. And I may have to hold my phone up for this if I didn't manage to somehow get the image. All right, hold on. Yeah, let me download this. And I'm going to show you guys how far back that this whole Maxwell thing goes. Oh man, this image, if you haven't seen it already, is going to flip your wig. Is going to flip your freaking wig. All right, give me 1 second. It's hiding out way down here at the bottom. So one of the things, like you know, I started talking about Epstein about I think around 2015. That's when he popped on my radar. I think I was one of the really early people to read that flight manifest. That, you know, where all the people who are theoretically have flown on the Lolita Express. And by the way, the Lolita Express was just one vehicle that went to that island. Now, when you get into that whole area, there are multiple islands, including Necker Island, which is Richard Branson's island. I believe Joe Biden has an island, and Venezuela is deeply involved in this thing. And I'm going to get into that. Venezuela, which is the closest, you know, landmass to these chains of islands that are around Epstein Island and all these other islands. And it wasn't just his plane or his island. That facility was being used by a number of other people and a number of other groups. That's how deep this shit goes. All right, so check this image out. It's going to blow your mind. Well, look at what we have here. Recognize her? JonBenet Ramsey. Who's that person? You see it? Who's that person? It's pretty clear who that person is. Do you see how far this goes back? Do you see how deep this thing is? Like Ghislaine Maxwell is the where is Waldo of this whole thing. Like, where isn't she? Where isn't she? She's on subreddit, the 8th most popular subreddit forum. Goes all the way back to JonBenet Ramsey. She's the where is Waldo. She's everywhere. She's the Zelig. She's the Zelig of this really, really despicable experience. Check it out. There she is. Does that surprise you at all? I mean, some of you may have already seen this because you guys are hip to the trip. So this is why, and I'm going to go dark now for a second. So apologize. Stepping out into the void again because I need to refresh comments. Oh, I'm back. You should step out of the void every now and then. Into the void. There's a pic. Yeah, the Ghislaine, that Chelsea Clinton picture that's been circulating. JonBenet Ramsey, man. Elite pedophiles, like these small group of people, all hang out with one another. What do you define by small? That's an interesting definition of small. Very interesting definition. You know, what is that? Right? Yeah. You see how deep this thing goes, man? Do you see how deep it goes? You see, this is why the Ghislaine Maxwell thing is really important. Because it is the tabula rasa of the corruption. Right? This is the tabula rasa of the corruption. Now, whether that's her, you know, inside of that facility, which is in Brooklyn, I don't know. But she was in New Hampshire. And if it is her, then why is she there? And who really wants to profit and benefit? Is Ghislaine Maxwell a controlled demolition? Is that what she is? Or is this the real deal? Okay. Small, maybe 10,000. So I would say, Rob, I don't know what the number is, but you could have, there's this really interesting movie called Half Moon Street with Michael Caine and Sigourney Weaver. It's kind of a B film, but it's kind of interesting on some level because you get some insight, little tiny bit of insight into the game of the elites. And Sigourney Weaver plays an escort in this movie to very powerful men, one of whom turns out to be Michael Caine. Okay. But she has a relationship with him that is not an escort. So at the beginning of the movie, they say they're at a dinner, and Michael Caine, I think he asks her or somebody at the dinner, he says, do you know how many people are in the world? And people are guessing all these, billion numbers. And Michael Caine says 300. And then he breaks down what country they're from, right? He's basically saying these are the only people in the world. They're the only ones that matter. They're the only ones that matter. Maxwell turned herself in to protect the British crown. Simple. I don't know if it's that simple. I don't know if it's that simple. Maybe it's that simple. But and we also don't know that what happens when she gets there, right? When she gets there, is she going to be able to just fall on the sword for the British crown? Whatever you think she did or why she's there, let's be clear, this is the event. Okay? It's the event. And it could go the way of Jeffrey Epstein. It could go the way of any other cover-up. I'm telling you, it would not surprise me if that happens. But this is the event. This is the thing. This is the thing that connects it all. So if we want to pump the brakes on the mask, we want to pump the brakes on the coronavirus, we want to pump the brakes on the intrusion of the surveillance state, you better hope and pray your ass off that this thing with Maxwell goes full maximum warp speed overdrive and takes out as much of this corruption as possible. And I would highly advocate you do that because there's not a whole lot else you can do except pass this around and have me talk about it. Okay? There you go. So, getting back to Robbie's thing, so if it's a small group, maybe it's less than 10,000, maybe it's 500. But think of the influence that those 500 people have. Those 500 people with their influence through media, through politics, through banking, might be the equivalent of about 2 million people. Maybe even 1 billion people. So when we say small, we have to quantify what small is. It could be small but concentrated. It could be like plutonium. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you another picture. This is a disturbing picture because it gets into the whole kind of pedogate world, okay? Which is another thing that is kind of really bubbling beneath the surface. I'm going to give you somebody to follow on Twitter. His name is, give me 1 second here. His name is Spencer Thurston at 9KWIZ. Some of you might already follow him. If not, I highly recommend that you do. You will get more information on this one Twitter feed regarding these topics that than maybe 10 Twitter feeds or a dozen Twitter feeds. So I stumbled across this Twitter feed yesterday, even though I'm not on Twitter, but I can access some of it. Let me show you some of the images that you'll get here. I got to do a screen grab. Give me 1 sec. It's an embedded image. Do one more. Okay, so some of you are familiar with terms like frazzle drip and all that stuff, which is really, kind of disgusting. I don't want to get into that. But what I do want to get into are the connections and the associations around people that are people of interest with one Madeleine McCann, whom we started to look at with the connection with the Maxwell photo. Okay. I'm going to show you some other stuff here. Okay, so here you go. This is how deep the old rabbit hole goes. So these were the people of interest in connection with Madeleine McCann. These were the artist renderings. Pretty interesting, huh? Pretty interesting. Think there's a connection? And these are the usual suspects. This is who shows up. Right there. Boom. Boom. Let me show you a few more things from that Twitter feed that I find to be quite informative. Now, apparently, one of the hot spots and the hot zones of that area and of that region happens to be Venezuela. And Venezuela, under the so-called leadership of Hugo Chavez. Now, apparently, this activity extended all the way through Venezuela. And let me give you an idea. And again, I'm crediting this Spencer Thurston for this material. Go to his feed, all right? So I'm just giving the guy credit. He's done a lot of hard work. And I'm not into you claiming credit for any of this stuff, but I do want to disseminate the information because that's what I do. All right, so I'm going to show you this. And again, kind of get ready to have your mind blown a little here. This will show you the extent and the network of what we're talking about. All right. So these are all the various islands. These are all the Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas. And here's where a lot of the Epstein stuff is taking place in this island chain right here. Then we have Provincia, San Andres, Aruba, which is another kind of heavy duty place. Trinidad and Tobago. Do you remember that gal that got killed by the Dutch kid Joran van der Sloot? Remember that? What is that all about now, right? And then here we have Venezuela. So this is the territorial sort of connection between all these different islands. And they're all in some ways either inhabited or used by these people who are connected to this ring, right? Here you go. Venezuela plays a pretty significant role here, which you're going to see. Okay? You're going to see that. So let me go back into this feed so I can grab you some more images. Okay. So here we go. And I'm just going to grab his entire post here. That way you guys can see sort of the context of everything, okay? Hold on. So there's going to be new names here that you may or may not be familiar with. Well, you know the names. You're familiar with the names, but you may not be familiar with their involvement with this very seamy and despicable underworld. So let me see what we have here. Is this it? Let me go to my. You go here. Let me see if we got going. Yeah, you can see it. Okay, so this is this. There's a military island in Venezuela called La Orchila. Ani, could you? What is Orchila? Is that like orchid? Is that what that is, Ani? So where Maxwell. Now Maxwell has a compound. Not just Jeffrey Epstein. This compound belonged to her father, Robert Maxwell. And this is where Kevin Spacey, Courtney Love, Naomi Campbell. Oh, here we go. We got new players now. Oliver Stone, Danny Glover, Don Cheadle, Benicio del Toro, Johnny Depp, and here Hugo Chavez enters into the conversation. There you go. There's landing strip and everything. Right? So this is an island off the coast of Venezuela. It is a military island. Military island. Did you guys see that? There you go. Okay, there's more. If you want photographic evidence of everything, we got it. Now, is it damning? Photographic evidence? I don't know. Sure, certainly is interesting. That's for sure. Look at that. Hugo Chavez, Hillary Clinton, Hugo Chavez, Sean Penn, Hugo Chavez, Kevin Spacey, Hugo Chavez, Naomi Campbell. Sean Penn is a spy, by the way. He's a total spy. And I mean it. He's a spy. So here we go. Here's a lot of the players. You know. Some of you get ready to crush your idols. Marilyn Manson. Don Cheadle. Look who we have here. That's a Cuomo right there. James Franco. You know who these people are. Courtney Love, Hillary Clinton, Sean Penn, Kevin Spacey, Clinton, Naomi Campbell, Johnny Depp, etc., etc., etc. Right? We could even blow this thing up, get a better photo here, see what happens. It's taking a while. So there we go. Marina Abramovich. Danny Glover. This is one of those Mogilevich is one of those Russian oligarchs. Maduro's in there too. Jared Leto. Right? Some guy Betancourt. There they are. There they are. There's Dershey. So this is an interesting website. I'll throw the link in there. This is all connected to Leroy Moore, who is he's the drummer of Dave Matthews Band, and was doing a documentary, and apparently all four of these guys were involved. in the documentary. There's Lisa Bean. That's his wife. There's the crew. Leroy Moore is now dead. Chris Cornell, dead. So I'll put this in there as a link. None of this will surprise any of you. David Geffen shows up to be a major player here. Surprise, surprise. On and on. Here you go. Here's your players connected to the various islands. It's all there. Jagger, Trump, mansion in St. Martin's. Okay, look, make your own decisions around this. Or just make your own decisions. You could say maybe he's got a mansion there because that's what he does. I'm not going to lean into that one way or the other. Keith Richards, Johnny Depp, Eddie Murphy, David Copperfield. So if you could say, oh yeah, Johnny Depp. Oh yeah, Richard Branson. Oh yeah, Oprah Winfrey. Oh yeah, Mick Jagger. Oh yeah, Abramovich. But not Donald Trump. You have to be very, very, very committed to the truth here. And I'm just saying, you got to be committed to the truth. That's Chris Cornell's wife, Brittany Murphy, R.I.P. I'll leave some of this in the show page so you guys can grab that. So we're at a nexus point in history, in culture, and in truth. And when we claim that we are pro-truth, then we have to be pro-truth at any cost or at any price. We can't be 90% truth. We can't be 80% truth. You can, but it's not going to be as effective. And I'm doing my best to sharpen my blade every day because I know when I'm not in truth or when I'm not in alignment, my life just doesn't work. So I'm trying to be as real and as truthful as possible. Because if I can or don't, none of this works. And I'm human. Sometimes I trip and sometimes I fall, and it's the way it is, right? But this has been my commitment. So if that's the case, then you have to be willing to walk down a path that says, if indeed the president of the United States has involvement in this, and it has to be clear and specific involvement, then you must embrace that. But only if the rest of the group has the same fate and the same fortune and the same outcome. Justice must be equal across the entire platform. Because if it's just Trump and everybody else gets to skate, doesn't work. Doesn't work. If it's everybody else and Trump gets to skate, well, you could say, well, at least he got rid of the pedos. He's still connected to this thing, right? And maybe, just maybe, he's gotten on his knees and just begged for forgiveness to Jesus Christ, his Lord and Savior, and Paula White's around him, and Franklin Graham's around him, and everybody is doing the praying, and that video surfaces. I'm like, okay, so he's had that come to Jesus Sananda moment. Does it exonerate him? When the eyes of God, if it goes deep enough and long enough, absolutely. You could be the most despicable person on the planet. And if you are dedicated to some form of spiritual redemption and you make that your sole point and goal and focus, you will not be denied. Now, I may not buy into sort of the Christian kind of thing in that way, because, I feel like Christianity has enabled this issue and problem. I don't have an issue with Christian people. Again, a lot of the Christian people I meet are fine people. They're good people. They're God-fearing people. A lot of them have love in their hearts. The institution itself, I got an issue with, because it's enabled this situation to go on for a very, very long time. And that includes the Catholic Church as well. Okay? All right. So you can derive your own opinion about Trump. Okay? I'm going to be neutral around this, and I will support the guy because right now, theoretically, at that level, he's our only chance, right? He's our only chance. So I'm not going to condemn him at this point, but I'm also not going to walk around with blinders on. And I would advise each and every one of you to do kind of a little bit of a gut check on that in your own life. Okay. That's a mindset moment, by the way. That is a mindset moment because you also have to prepare yourself for the potential inevitability of a group of people using whatever they have on Trump to basically, turn him into the Titanic. You have to have a bit of a mindset around that. Like, what happens? What happens if that's the case? You need to prepare your head for that. Okay. And you can defend him. And if that's what your mindset is, you can defend him. And that's fine. My mindset is let's get to the truth. Let's get to the truth, the real truth, whatever that is. Whatever that is. Because we're dealing with something like the stake of the future of humanity is at stake here. And I know I'm being dramatic and hyperbolic. But on the one hand, we've got the World Economic Forum. We've got the shutdown of the West. We have this crazy COVID corona crisis. We have the vice grip of reality, basically, beginning to crush lives through isolationism, through the destruction of small businesses, through the eradication of our liberties and freedoms and principles. All that's going on. And on the other side, we have this kind of attack from this other flank, being led by Black Lives Matter and Antifa and the radical socialization of the Bolshevik social Marxists coming at us, destroying our statuary, limiting our speech. Right. So the mask really limits our freedom of movement. That's what it does. We can't move about our area freely. You want to go into the store, wear a fucking mask. It limits your freedom. If you don't wear the mask, you can't go into the store. That's limiting your freedom of movement. The Black Lives Matter, Antifa, social Marxist front is limiting your what? Freedom of speech. Because if you say something contrary to what those programs or ideologies are saying that you can and cannot mention, right? They're essentially canceling your ability to have free thought. Because speech is the expression of thought, right? That's what it is. These are two fundamental principles. The ability to move about freely, and the ability to speak freely. The other, which is the Fourth Amendment, the ability to defend yourself and the right to bear arms, don't worry, they got their crosshairs on that. If they defund the police, they remove the police, and you decide to defend yourself, guess what? The same laws that apply to a certain group will not apply to another group. And they'll take care of that one too. Do you see where we are? Do you see where we are? Our livelihood, our ability. Now, the economy might be fucked. The banks might be broken. Whatever those things are, they can be fixed. The economy can be fixed. There's a whole new way that we can do economics. We don't have to depend on or rely on the Federal Reserve. We just don't. There are things called 3D printers, and 3D printers are accelerating at a rapid rate. We can reclaim manufacturing in this country with a community that buys 4 or 5 large-scale 3D printers. You can make an entire town out of about 4 large-scale 3D printers. Wrap your head around that, okay? We have the tools to have our own reset. We don't need these third parties to determine how our reality is going to unfold. We can start our own local economies, and that's happening right now. Right? We can do all these things. And these are the models that are competing with these super titanic models that they want to force down your throat. In COVID-19 and the social Marxist movement and the controlled demolition of the economy, your ability to think, your ability to talk, your ability to move about freely, they're all in the mix. And I don't care what color you are. I don't care what color you are. These are human issues. And so what is the super claymore that is in play here? The super claymore is Maxwell and this whole network. If that can be exposed in its entirety, and it should, by the way, and no stone should be left unturned, then it needs to happen. And I don't care what casualty occurs along the way, as long as it's truthful and fair. That's all I care about. If it's some sacred idol or some sacred icon, you sacrifice them. You sacrifice them for the truth. And that includes Trump if he's involved. I'm sorry, but that's just the case. If he's not involved, or he's able to make a case that he's been kind of tracking this thing for a long time, and he's Captain Takedown, then God bless him. He needs to prove that case. Okay? He needs to prove it. Now, I guess if it came down to the lesser of two evils, that, maybe he's involved and, somehow manages to, do a Kaiser Sose move and fuck everybody over except himself. Look, I'll take it. All right. I'll take it. It's not ideal. It's just not ideal, but I take that, because if that's the case, we're going to have a reset anyway. It'll happen anyway. And then he'll have to, move forward with that version of the reset, because it won't have anything to do with a lot of the stuff that I talked about, right? It won't have anything to do with a lot of the stuff that I talked about, even like the robotic dynamic shit. But there's so many people invested with so much money that they want to continue that paradigm and that model. And if we want to eradicate that model, it's sitting right there, and you're going to stare it down on Friday when she quote, goes before a judge. Have you seen the judge? Good luck on this. Keep the pressure on. Keep understanding what's happening and what's at play. We're an incredibly powerful moment in history. And the closer we get to this thing, whatever this thing is, and Maxwell is the thing now, the harder they will try to create another event or another distraction or something to take us away from getting close to ground zero. So be prepared for that. Okay. We're in open country now, open territory. All right. Open territory. All right. There you go. Told you I'd get to it. Obviously, if I wanted to, I could do another half hour. We could go full 3 hours today, but that's not going to happen. I got a client. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Let me get some of your comments. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Rob says this is why Trump had that press briefing in May with General Miley, saying they're conducting an operation in the Caribbean. I was so sad to learn about Tom Hanks. He was a favorite of mine. We've all had to burn our idols. We've all had to burn people that we thought were, inspirational or funny or turned on or switched on. Sometimes they are. Sometimes that's who they are, right? Sometimes there's a part of them that can demonstrate that. But then, the real material kind of comes to light. And I'm not sure Like, who's my biggest idol burn? I don't know. I don't know who I think the biggest idol burn that I might have had might have been Bill Hicks. And he wasn't an idol, but I loved his comedy. I loved his comedy. And the reason I had to burn him as an idol was the strange, weird connection with Alex Jones. He's not Alex Jones. He's not Alex Jones. Let's just be upfront about that. But, did Bill Hicks even die? I'm not even sure he died. He could have. I'm not sure he did, though. If he is, God bless. I think that was about the closest I got to an idol burn. And wasn't really an idol. I just really enjoyed his comedy. There's a scene in 24-Hour Party People where they go and they watch the Sex Pistols, right? And what's his name? The guy from the BBC who ran Factory Records. And they go back to his apartment and they're getting high. And his friend starts tearing down posters of rock bands. And he goes over to the Pink Floyd poster. And after he sees the Sex Pistols, he says, "Must go." And he tears it down. And then he walks up to the Bowie poster. And it's like, that's really hard for him. Really hard. And he tears it down. He goes, "Must go." And I would think Bowie's kind of one of those people for me. And I interviewed him and I thought he was really interesting and kind of a groundbreaking artist. And, we'll assume he's dead. But even with Bowie, man, I had to let go of a lot of Bowie stuff too. I'd let go of this idea, where, let's dance, put on your red shoes and let's dance tonight, right? Clear indication about what those red shoes represent. You go back into Bowie's background, he seems very programmed too. Very programmed. He was being programmed for the sort of the trans movement, trans glam movement. And one of his teachers and handlers was a guy by the name of Lindsay Crouch, or he was this mime that took David Bowie under his wing and became his teacher handler for a while. He was homosexual, and that was one of his teachers. So Bowie was being groomed. He started this thing called the Young Man's Long Hair Society. There's videos with him doing that. So it's kind of clear, like that, he is in the mix, and he has a role to play. So I had to burn Bowie as some an idol. That was kind of a tough one. But once you burn the idols, it's good. It's good. Burn them. They're not meant to be there. Clint Eastwood is another person. I love the Clint Eastwood movies, but man, Clint Eastwood's got some shady shit. And even my father knew that Clint Eastwood, just like everybody in Hollywood, had to open Solomon's Temple. Oh yeah. And there's even some pictures of Clint Eastwood doing some really, kissing this one girl who's young in a very uncomfortable kind of way, so they all have to go at some point. And please don't make me your idol. I want to stick around. Okay. I want to stick around. I want to be part of your life, and I want to be part of my own life. So please, I'm just your friend on the internet. All right. I'm out of here. Thank you for being a part of today's show. Thank you, everybody. Use your head in order to discern what's real. Open up that third eye, your heart, to say what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. I'll be back tomorrow. And let me do my little comment down here. For now, boom. Put my little heart in. Chatlandia, I love you. You're the best. As soon as Mercury goes direct, I will have details about the event in October. Hold the space. We need to get together. Oh, and by the way, I just want to make a little brief announcement. Emily and Randy have separated the off-planet experience. And I just want to make sure that you guys support Emily in her effort to create her own channel and develop her own presence and work. She was with Randy for, a number of years and really learned a lot and got very good at what she does. Really, really good at what she does. She wants to take this whole thing to the next level. So if you're a Patreon, it's a part of that group, right? Hang in there with Emily, because we had a long conversation yesterday about some of the things she can do and wants to do. And I'm here to support her in her growth, somebody who can, bring new ideas, new people, ideas around health. She's really brilliant, has a very interesting way of thinking. So hang in with her in Patreon. She's got Conspiracy Cocktail over on Facebook, or I think, what is it? It's not on Facebook. It's on Zoom. It's on Zoom. So, we're all part of the same family, and I just want to, give a shout out to Emily and make sure that you guys understand that she's in the process of growing. She's in the process of evolving, and sometimes it takes time. So if you're with her, stay with her. And if you haven't found her, subscribe to her YouTube channels. And Emily, you can talk about this on Conspiracy Cocktail. We'll be doing a MASH next week. She'll have the links and be able to even put the link into my show page. Okay. All right. I'm out here for now. God bless you all. I'm Robert Phoenix, and we'll see you tomorrow.